Yeah, so this is an interesting one, and this is a place where I suppose I might tell the story a little differently than a lot of people, given some of what I've come to understand about the human condition. Because I think that the mistake most religious people make is to try and define wholeness as becoming a non-lacking subject. I think when we describe wholeness as nothing's wrong, nothing's missing, we're not doing wholeness justice. Wholeness is way better than that. But I think the problem, and this is one of the things we came to figure out at Redemption over the years. The problem is when we tend to spiritualize everything in the Christian tradition and really in the American imagination. And so we end up giving, in a sense, we kind of give like spiritual answers to emotional problems or relational problems or like psychological or whatever, emotional, physical problems. So we'll promise that if you had enough faith, you would be whole. And then if you don't have enough faith, or if you're not whole, then it's because you don't have enough faith, which is just a total ruse. Like that's a religious con. Nobody is whole in that sense of wholeness. Or we make promises that God's going to magically fix stuff that maybe isn't intended to be fixed, or maybe it's not in the cards for that to be fixed. I mean, I've sat with enough dying people to know it's probably not super smart to promise that if you had enough faith, God can fix everything. You know what I mean? Like that's just a prescription for hurting people. So any way that we treat non-wholeness that leads to like repression of wholeness, where you have to pretend like nothing's wrong, or that leads you to think that wholeness means perfection, and if you don't have that, there's something wrong with you. Those are super dangerous things to me.
How is brokenness and damage important factors of our wholeness, and why is it important to recognize those factors?
Yeah. One of the things I think I've come to believe about our traumas is that there's a sense in which you can't change the things that happen to you, but you can change their meaning. There's this concept in philosopher Jacques Lacan. He talks about the quilting point, which is just how language can mean a lot of things. And in essence, you don't know what a sentence means until the end of the sentence. You don't know what a story means until the end of the story. At some point, you quilt together the language, and you get this moment where we're making meaning, and everybody's in on it. Everybody conspires. And trauma is one of those things that we struggle to make meaning out of, at least any kind of redemptive meaning. And so the way you do that is you draw it into a better story, a story that involves the stewardship of pain. And then you work on a way of narrating it, making meaning out of the events that were really painful and traumatic. You just keep working it and learn to tell a better story. A lot of times that involves growth. A lot of times that involves a lot of counseling. Sometimes it involves medicine. A lot of times it involves just like patience and some forgiveness and maturity until we can get to the point where, though we can't change what has happened, we actually have changed its meaning. And its meaning doesn't stand between us as an obstacle to holiness. It is something that unites us and reconciles us to our own experience and to what it means to be human. Now, I think the most pain I ever encounter is not physical. It's typically not even spiritual. It's mostly emotional, relational, and it's just I mean, we can live without answers to all kinds of questions, but the questions of what is the meaning of my life, and how can I have relationships in some kind of life that's fulfilling to me, that's what we're striving for.
Will you talk a bit about religion and remembering, relimiting?
Yeah. I think that's what we do for each other in the church. We just say, what happened to you? You can tell the truth about it here. And how do you make meaning of it? And if that meaning is causing you just constant pain, we say, that's not good enough. Tell it, say it again, tell the story again, tell it as many times as you need to tell it until it can find some kind of like peace with what's happened to you. And that's hard work, and that only comes over time as you're with a community who knows how to help each other do that. I really think that's a huge part of what it means to be a Christian.
How do you think that, like, someone knows when they found wholeness?
I think I seldom realize I'm experiencing wholeness at the time. It's when things have gone haywire and I look back and I'm like, I had this long period of wholeness there, and I have lost it somehow. Like, I think most meaning comes retroactively as we try to tell a story about the past. So then the question becomes, is there a way to experience it at the time? And this is what I think. I think it's very difficult to do that in any way that is not relational. I think mostly that happens when we're connecting with somebody else in meaningful ways. And then we realize in the moment, this is really good. Like, what's transpiring between me and you, or me and us, this is good, this is precious. But it comes in glimpses, and then you walk out to your car and it doesn't start, and then you're off to, like, you're back in brokenness. And so this is something I talk about a lot, that living things go like this. That's what they do. This is your breathing, this is your heartbeat, this is the tides, this is the seasons, this is evening and morning, the first day. This is every living thing goes like this. Dead stuff goes like this. And so wholeness is this. It isn't just up here at the top always. It's this thing that, or you can do it circular. It's just, if peace is this ideal, we never quite get there, but we orbit it constantly together. And every once in a while we like fly through it and just light up like stars, and then we're away from it again. And anybody who promises that you can avoid this, like just live in this concrete, eternal sense of wholeness, they're selling something, and you should probably run.